Hello?
Telephone.
I'll call you right back. Call you right back.
Telephone.
I'll call you right back podcast.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of I'll Call You Right Back podcast with me, your host. My name is Chad Medved. Welcome to my podcast. If you are a new listener, welcome. If you are a returning listener, thanks for coming back. I appreciate it very much. It's nice to see the numbers keep growing every week. Do me a favor, if you have not already, you are on a podcast app right now listening to the podcast. If you scroll up, hit subscribe for me, and right below there should be a section to rate and review the podcast. To me, that is what you could do if you appreciate what I do. A rating and a review, a 5-star rating and a review bumps me up on the podcast chart. That's how I keep growing. That's how I see feedback from people. So if you like what I do, hit 5 stars and give me a little write-up about the podcast, what you like about it, what you want to see, but let me ask you, if you have nothing nice to say, please just keep it to yourself, because I'm out here working. I'm trying my best. I'm doing what I'm doing. This is a special week. Obviously, we're in this quarantine world, and it's a little bit different. And before we get too deep into the episode, I wanted to take a second to recognize and say happy birthday to Turner Dairy Farms. They turned 90 years old this year. And today, April 2nd, you could go to your local grocer, your local convenience store, your local bodega, wherever you're shopping, but wherever carries Turner Dairy products, today they released their special limited edition birthday cake flavored milk, and that is in honor of their 90th birthday. It's a milk, but it is colored blue. So if you look into the cooler and you see a nice blue gallon of milk or half gallon of milk, grab that up and try out the new limited edition birthday cake flavored milk. If you do not know where they have that at, you could go to www.turnerdairy.net/pound locator, and you'll type in your address, and a bunch of places that carry Turner products will pop up, and you could look under them and see if it says limited edition milks. So I have not got to try it yet. Obviously, not obviously, but I guess, I should let everyone know I haven't left my house. I've been, hopefully some of you have been locked in my house. I've been in my house for probably 3 weeks now or some shit. Probably in between 2.5 and 3 weeks, but we're living this quarantine life over at the Medved house, and the quarantine life consists of day in and day out quarantine feels. That's what I've been calling them, the quarantine feels. And my days have been consisting of watching things, eating things, watching more things, snacking, taking a shower, going for a walk, eating more, and watching more. I have been just ripping through shit on Netflix. We just finished Ozark yesterday, and Ozark is a Netflix original, probably one of the best shows on, I guess it's not TV, but on Netflix. I love it. It's absolutely fantastic. They just dropped season 3. I'm not going to give any spoilers because those people deserve to die. No, they don't deserve to die, but they deserve to drop their phone or some shit. But if you spoil someone's show, that's absolutely terrible of you. Please be careful not to spoil people's shows. Even though there's not really an excuse, people should be out there watching them and they should be caught up, I know. But Ozark is absolutely insane. All it is panic and anxiety, fun for the whole family. It's basically Jason Bateman, you know him from Dodgeball. You know him from Arrested Development. You know him from, a whole slew of shit. But Jason Bateman is a money launderer for the Mexican drug cartel, and I will leave it at that. But the show is fantastic. And season 3 just dropped. We completely ripped through it in 2 days. It's great. It sucks that we already ripped through it and we got to wait another year probably, but that's fantastic. If you have not heard of the show Tiger King, I don't know where you've been. That's like the people that don't know what the coronavirus is. Tiger King is a Netflix original. Netflix has been pumping out some crazy shit. But Tiger King is this, how do you even describe it? This 7-part docu-series of an interesting character named Joe Exotic. Joe Exotic looks like, who does he look like? He looks like a mix between Joe Dirt, Rod Stewart, Siegfried and Roy, and Siegfried and Roy's Tiger. I think you can mix that all together, and that would be a good envisionment of what Joe Exotic looks like. This dude is buck wild. I didn't know what this show was until I started seeing all the memes, and I started seeing everyone talking about it and talking about how insane it was. And I ended up looking at the description, and it just basically says this guy owns an exotic animal park. It's like 200 big ass tigers. It shows him wearing a rhinestone sequence shirt and just basically pointing guns at people, and you're like, what the fuck is going on? And then you get into about 20 seconds into the show, and you're like, yep. And I ripped through that, and it is just insane. It says in the description, but this guy gets pinched for, trying to buy a hit on someone, and you're just like, all right, why wouldn't I watch this right now? Let me tell you, it was worth it. But if you're not into Ozark or Tiger King, I've been ripping through some old shit too, which is making me feel nostalgic. I've been watching Whose Line Is It Anyway? We got all the seasons now, and I just been ripping through those. Absolutely underrated show. That was like one of the best shows on TV. Whose Line Is It Anyway? Like, come on now. But we watched The Mask of Zorro the other day. If you haven't seen that, Antonio Banderas, Anthony Hopkins, that movie was insane. Catherine Zeta-Jones, but that's fantastic. Absolutely a good movie. National Treasure with Nick Cage we watched, which was, who doesn't like Nick Cage? Come on. You ever see Face Off even one time? Who doesn't like Nick Cage? The other movie we watched that was just, a road down nostalgic lane was Tremors. Come on, Kevin Bacon. That was one of my favorite movies growing up, was Tremors. I don't know why. I loved shitty horror movies like that, and they were great, but we just been ripping through shit. And like, what else can you do whenever you're stuck in the house 24 hours a day? God damn it. It's a shame because, me and my wife love food so much. And like that has been, this has been incentive for us to start cooking a little bit more. My wife cooks way more than I do, and she's great at cooking. She's been making some wild ass shit. She made some Taco Bell Crunchwrap Supremes the other day that were absolutely better than Taco Bell's. I don't care who you are. Taco Bell's shit is low quality, but it tastes fantastic. But my wife made some crunch wraps, and they were bomb as hell. So we just been eating and cooking. She's been making all kinds of wild shit. I've been cooking a little bit. I made a banana bread the other day that was banging. A little dry, and my wife let me know about it. And then I made some chocolate chip cookies after that were dry as hell. They were dry as a desert right now. And she definitely let me know about them. But them things, you could barely bite into them. Still tasted good though, and I still ate them. But, it's a bummer to not be able to go out to restaurants and not go out to eat at places that you love to eat. You know what I mean? Like, I love going to eat places, and it sucks not being able to go. But there's a couple places that we hit up the last few weeks for takeout. First one is Streets on Carson. You already know Streets on Carson, out there, built for war. Chef Matt's in the kitchen right now whipping work. They're open 5 to 10 Tuesday through Sunday. They got a takeout menu available on their Instagram at Streets on Carson. Again, 1120 East Carson Street. You holler at them, pay over the phone, come down there and pick up your grub. 412-918-1006. They're also available on Grubhub or Uber Eats. One of them. Search for Streets on Carson. The other person that we got takeout from was Badamo's Pizza. Probably, honestly, my favorite pizza in the city. I've talked about it a couple times before, but Badamo's Pizza has 2 locations, one in the north side, one in Mount Lebanon. You could call them and get takeout. We got takeout from the north side location, I think 2 days ago, and it was great because there was no contact. I called the number 412-231-1001, told them give me a extra large pie, all pepperoni, half mushrooms, half onions, and a large chicken salad. And I paid over the phone, and then you go roll up to the spot, and this dude just hands it out a window. You don't have to touch no one. No one's trying to grab you. You're just grabbing a pizza out of a window, and you're home. It's easy as that. So if you got places that you love that you usually go and eat at, try to patronize them right now. This is a struggle for people right now. We're obviously in a time where, people are unemployed. People are, forced to close their doors, their businesses. And if it's a possibility and you could support people that are doing great things, that are still able to, put out some products for people, go there and patronize them. Badamo's Pizza is going to have a website, badamospizza.com. That should be up by, this weekend. He told me it will be up today or tomorrow, but just keep checking back. But I would definitely check them out. They're both available, both great food as usual. But one other thing I wanted to talk about before I got to my podcast this week, I guess. I started a new segment. It's called Sound It Out. I started a new segment. It's called Sound It Out. Sound It Out is a segment where I pick up a book and I read it on IGTV. Very original, I know. So I picked up Bert Kreischer's Life of the Party, and I've been reading it chapter by chapter on IGTV. And you could find it on my Instagram at I'll Call You Right Back. And I'm having fun with it. The only thing that's deterring me from doing it is that IGTV only lets you record up to 15 minutes. So if I record a chapter that's long and it's 31 minutes, I got to break it into 3 parts of a video. And no one wants to see 3 parts of a video. It's like, come on, throw me a frickin' bone. We got to deal with people that have all these, I don't get why all the big accounts are the only ones that get access to all this shit. I mean, I guess I do get it, but I also don't get it. It pisses me off for the people that are still lower, that are still trying to do some shit. Let me record up to an hour. I would be able to post all these, but now since I got to break them apart, it just annoys me. And it's deterring, but I'm just been out here trying to function, guys. We're doing something a little bit different this week for the podcast, and I hope everyone enjoys it, but get out there and take a walk, but keep your distance from everyone else. If I got people walking up next to me, I'm hissing at them. I've been hissing at people walking all day. I don't want nothing to do with you, but at least go outside and get some fresh air. Me and my wife have been porching it. We've been sitting on the porch and it's been fantastic, going for long walks. And this is all a blessing and a curse. It sucks that we have to deal with this, but it's nice. Me and my wife are basically just spending, a month together. And, I'm having a great time. It gets a little crazy. She gets a little annoyed at me. I get annoyed at her. We butt heads a little bit. But, I wouldn't be happier, spending time with anyone else. But anyway, the reason that we are here, I'm pumped about this, all right? So, like I said, I'm doing something a little bit different this week for the podcast. I usually talk to different guests about what they do and how they got to that point in life. We all know that, right? I have different people on here. They're business owners, whatever. I talk to all these people. But obviously with this virus shit, I can't go outside. And I do not expect anyone else to come to me. So I'm improvising. And the way I wanted to improvise is I like doing, I like learning about things. So my thought was, I'm going to put it on Instagram. I'm going to let people throw me topics, and then I'm going to choose a great topic, and I'm kind of going to deep dive on the internet for a little bit and see what I come up with. So I got all these crazy topics whenever I posted on Instagram. Someone had the topic of why video games bring people together, like playing with different people online. I get different topics about why Scandinavian countries score highest on most quality of life indexes. And I was like, don't know what that means. Sounds interesting. Jimmy Hoffa, crime families, kingpins from our area, flat earth, all kinds of different shit. Why did Brendan Fraser kind of disappear? How do babies breathe inside their mothers? Space, top 10 favorite movies of all time. I got so many great topics and I didn't know which one to pick. And I was like, damn. But then one slid in that caught my attention, and it was multi-level marketing and pyramid schemes. And I was like, yep. So that's what we're talking about this week. I spent about, I'd say I spent a good 5 hours reading random shit online. Okay. I spent 5 hours just looking up different shit about pyramid schemes and kind of, comparing some things and coming up with some observations, if you will, of different pyramid schemes. But the first thing I did that I thought was most important was I made a couple of polls on Instagram. So if you want to participate in any future polls, please hop over to Instagram, follow me at I'll Call You Right Back. I always post some polls if I need some data to correspond with the episode. But the first question was, do you know someone from high school involved in a pyramid scheme? Duh. Anyway, 70 people voted, 65 voted yes, 14 voted no. No surprise there, even though the 14 people that said no, I don't understand how you don't know anyone that's been in a pyramid scheme. You're lucky. Anyway, the other question that I did was, has anyone tried to recruit you into a scheme? And 84 voted, 59 said yes, 25 said no. That's more understandable for me to know that, 25 people have not been recruited yet, because, I've been tried to be recruited a couple times, but listen to them numbers. Do you know someone from high school involved in a pyramid scheme? 80 people said yes, basically. 80 people voted. 65 said yes, 14 said no. And then the other question, has anyone tried to recruit you into a scheme? 84 voted. 59 said yes, 25 said no. Come on now. That's 3/4 of the way for yes on both of them, which is pretty crazy. And, we all know what the message is. You see that notification in your DM and you're like, oh, someone messaged me. It's going to be great. I can't wait to see who this is from. And then it's someone that you almost forgot existed, and you get that message. Are you interested in making supplemental income from the comfort of your own home? Do you want to be your own boss? Do you want to make your own hours? And you're just like, God, delete. But then you think to yourself that could be a good song title. Like a good Devil Wears Prada song title. That's what it made me think of first things. But, I just don't get the whole idea with pyramid schemes. I never really understood what they were. I just knew that, I was weary of them. My father was someone who was always kind of like a realist. He's always believed none of what you hear and only half of what you see. And that's rubbed off on me, and I appreciate that. I respect how real my father is. He doesn't bullshit with people. He just tells it how it is. And, I think that I was just kind of, I don't know what deterred me from it. I don't know where my deterrence of the pyramid scheme template kind of came into play, but luckily I never kind of signed up for one. But I started reading about pyramid schemes. Okay, so I wanted to figure out the different types, because I've heard of something called a Ponzi scheme, and I've heard of multi-level marketing, and I've heard of pyramid schemes, but I didn't understand what they all were and what was different about them. So I looked up Ponzi scheme, and basically a Ponzi scheme is, it says a form of fraud that lures investors and pays them with profits from later investors. So you start something, you get people to invest in the beginning, they wait it out a little bit, and all the new people that you get to invest, you pay them people that were waiting with their new investments. So it's just like a scam. These people were basically making it seem that the new investments that are being paid to the older investors are profits from a business, which is not true. It's basically just more people, getting suckered. Just getting suckered. But then a pyramid scheme. So I looked up a pyramid scheme definition, and these are just definitions that I read, so just bear with me. A pyramid scheme is a business model that recruits members via a promise of payments or services for enrolling others into the scheme, rather than supplying investments or sale of products. So basically, that's, people don't, like people have these brands, let's say, an Avon type brand or like a Tupperware or some shit. It's like, I don't know how much of a pyramid scheme Tupperware was or Avon was or anything like that, but in my research, a couple things have popped up that called them or that listed them as that. Basically, multi-level marketing is just like, we all know how a pyramid scheme works. Someone gets on, and then it's your job to get 2 more people recruited under you, and so on and so forth. They get 2 more people under them, and then you guys are all selling products. And then the person at the top gets a little chunk of change from everyone below them, and that's a pyramid scheme. We all know that. But what is multi-level marketing? And multi-level marketing, so their little description, it says, also called pyramid scheme or pyramid selling, network marketing, and referral marketing, is a marketing strategy for the sale of products or services where the revenue of the MLM company is derived from a non-salary workforce selling the company's products or services. So, I don't know. You could take that as for what you want, but, it all kind of sounds similar to me. I'm not going to get real big into like a Ponzi scheme, but like we all know about Bernie Madoff. If you don't know about him, just Google him. Wild shit. I really don't know too much about it, but just the stuff that I touched on, it was almost like too much of it. But the one thing that I notice with all these companies is that they're all trying to sell this lifestyle. Everyone's trying to sell this positive attitude. You want to live better? Do you want to be your own boss? Do you want to make your own life? Do you want to, manifest your own dreams into your own realities? And everyone's like, fuck yeah, I want that. Yes, I want that. I want to be my own boss. Hell no, I don't want to go to work. Hell yeah, I want to do this, and I want all the riches in the world. It's like, who wouldn't want that? Come on. Everyone wants that, but you start to think like, what does this boil down to? So I started to think, what is my first idea of a pyramid scheme? Like, what did I think of first growing up? Excuse me while I take a swig. Speaking of that,
What's in the cup?
This week for What's in the Cup, I'm drinking a nice cold cup of water. Anyway, on to what I was talking about. But my first idea of a pyramid scheme was speaking of that, we're all in this quarantine right now. Just a sidebar. I see all you idiots running around buying bottles of water and shit like that. Just buy a Brita filter with a bunch of filters. Come on now. Be a little bit smarter than that. Plus, cut down on that plastic use, But yes, my first idea of a pyramid scheme. So I was trying to think of like what I knew about it and what the first one was. And there's obviously Tupperware. I think Tupperware parties were like the only parties that I actually remember ever being a thing whenever I was younger. I don't think I was ever actually, there for one, but I remember hearing about it wherever it came from. But besides Tupperware, I was thinking of Avon. So I don't know if my aunt sold Avon or like, loved ones that I knew, someone sold Avon, but it kind of stuck into my head from Edward Scissorhands, not Christina Ricci, but Winona Ryder's mom in Edward Scissorhands. She was an Avon salesman, Avon calling, and, it just stuck in my head because I always related things to movies. So Avon, I remember hearing about whenever I was real young, but I don't know if it's because I knew someone who sold it. We had Tupperware. I don't know where my mom got it. I don't know how she kind of got into it, but, the other thing that I remember was my aunt made these gel candles. I don't know if that was something that she did herself or if that was part of like one of them like Scentsy clubs or I don't know. I didn't really reach out to her. But besides that, I knew of pure romance parties. I don't know how I knew of them. I think it was movies like Old School and like, it had to be other ways that I've heard of them, but it's weird to me, pure romance parties. It's a bunch of ladies, just sitting around charcuterie boards, talking about dildos and vibrators and, lotions and, whatever they sell, here's a leather strap on, whatever it is. I don't really know what pure romance entails, but keep it. Imagine how weird it would be if guys did that. If I was like, hey guys, I'm going to have a party, come on over. And I put out a nice cheese tray that I made, a nice charcuterie board, some Slim Jims, a couple of Oreos. And then I just pull out a briefcase full of pocket pussies or like a silicone ass. And I'm just like, guys, this shit is legit. And, it's like, I don't know. I just think it's bizarre to think about that. Like those are the, I don't know. I don't know why it's bizarre to me. I'm sure someone will say something about it, but it's weird. Guys don't do shit like that. I feel, but maybe guys do go to pure romance. I just don't know about any of it. I think I just was always weary about things because of my dad. Always with the whole believe none of what you hear and only half of what you see. Like that was beat in my head whenever I was younger. He just I wouldn't call it skepticism, but I would call it that kind of, I guess. And I guess another reason that I didn't ever fall into it is because, my mom was someone who worked a lot of hours growing up. She was working a lot, and I don't think she had the opportunity to be pulled into a pyramid scheme. She was at work from 6 till 6 every day at the minimum, working on weekends and shit. And it almost surprises me that my mom was not into a pyramid scheme because she does some dumbass shit. I'll see her come home with some 6-second abs or, some bullshit drink or something. And you're just like, come on now, what are you doing? But, never whenever I was younger. And I think it's because she was a businesswoman and she was just conversing with people at her job. But it kind of made me evaluate that my dad was never going to be involved in that. He would probably tell someone to fuck off, but it just never was brought in front of me. And I thought that was interesting to think about that. I don't know anyone personally. Whenever I was growing up that was in it, at least I can't remember, but I don't know. It's interesting, but basically, so the way people make money in these pyramid schemes or, multi-level marketing or whatever you want to call it, whatever name you want to give it, there's two ways to make money. Sell the products at retail or sell wholesale to new recruits. And that's basically what it boils down to. And the people that you're recruiting, that's your downline distributors. And I came up with that terminology. I didn't come up with it, but I read about it online and that just made sense. So downline people are all the people that you're recruiting. And basically this all falls under one, it all falls under one format. It's a fucking pyramid scheme. That's what I'm sorry, it's not a pyramid scheme, but it's in the shape of a pyramid and it's kind of sketchy. So call it what you will. But the first person, find someone and you're like, oh, I got this lifestyle. They're selling this brand, this lifestyle brand, a way of life. See these people with all this gaudy ass shit, all these, nice vehicles, nice cars, and it's this glorious sounding life. And they're selling that to the one person below them. And the person below them, gets all this information and they're like, oh, I want to be my own boss. I want to be doing all this shit and, make my own hours. And then once they get that person on, then that person, recruits a couple other people. But all in the background, you have this line of products, whether it be beauty care products, health products, home goods products, or whatever the hell it is, or whatever the hell it's getting sold. It does, sidebar, it does always seem to be like a beauty or like a health product. I don't know why. Maybe it's because people were always trying to sell that wellness. What does that even mean? But anyway, people were selling this shit in the background, but that's not the main focus of it all. The main focus of it all is where the real money is getting these recruits, because the more recruits you get, the more money you get off of these other people. Like I said, it's all a pyramid. So it's all formatted like this. And I kind of do some research on, a bunch of different brands just as comparing them all. You know what I mean? So before we get into that, there's a couple other things that I wanted to touch on. So I was looking at articles, and there's an article that came up by the Federal Trade Commission's website. And it says, according to the report on the study of 350 multi-level marketing schemes or multi-level marketing selling, published by the Federal Trade Commission's website, at least 99% of the people who join MLMs lose money. And I didn't, 99% seems a lot. Who knows what that is, but Federal Trade Commission's website sounds official to me. Let me go out on a limb and say that I am not, I don't know anything. I'm just a dude Googling shit and just kind of talking about what I'm finding. So some of this shit might be wrong. I'm trying my hardest to verify everything. You can look it up. I'm looking. I'm doing my due diligence with it. But I thought that was interesting. It says at least 99% of the people who join MLMs lose money. And that was interesting to me because, I don't know, it seems like there's a lot of people that are in it, and you wonder, how are these people making money? You know what I mean? So I did a Google list of pyramid schemes. I just wanted to see what came up. You know what I mean? I wanted to see the companies that came up and, what they consisted of. And then, so basically I Googled pyramid schemes because I wanted companies that were actually, verified pyramid schemes. You know what I mean? And, one of the first interesting ones that popped up that, was on my radar was called Burn Lounge Incorporated. And Burn Lounge was a music website, and it was kind of weird because it's this website, I guess you sell so you have to have a subscription to be able to be involved with this website. And if you're a musician, you put your music on this website, you have your own account, I guess, or whatever, and people could go on there and buy your music through there, but you have to buy a subscription to be able to use the website. So the main source was the selling of the subscriptions to get on the website. And then after you get the subscription, then people could buy your music if they want to. And I guess what kind of bit them in the ass was the catch was that Burn Lounge was paying more to artists for the selling of their subscriptions rather than their own music, which was weird to me because you would think you would get paid for your product rather than the option for people to buy your product. I don't know. It's just messy and weird right there. Another big one that popped up was Metabolife dietary supplements. And the reason that I chose to talk about this one was because this was on multiple lists and my mom had this thing. So to give her the benefit of the doubt, I don't think that she got conned into a pyramid scheme, but she definitely bought it for some reason. And it's a dietary supplement. It was a pill. It was, it claimed to make you lose weight and all that shit, make you focus, but learned out that it contained ephedra. Ephedra was a drug derived from an herb, and it basically just sped up your heart rate and increased your metabolism and increased your body heat. And, it's like that hydroxy cut, whatever the hell it was. That shit was out, and then it turned out to be bad or doing something illegal that was I don't know. I don't know how they were raising your blood pressure and doing all this shit. But, if you're losing 30 pounds in 5 days, it ain't because it's safe. Let's tell you that. Besides for that Metabolite dietary supplement, to be fair though, like I said, my mom did have that. I just talked to her on the phone the other day. She said she never ate it. She don't know why she bought it, but she did have it. But the one that I came into contact with personally was Vima. Vima Nutrition Company was a company that I remember hearing about whenever I was at Slippery Rock. So Slippery Rock, I went to school there for, a couple nights at least. And then, these people were selling, they were peddling energy drinks, weight management supplements, and nutritional beverages. And I remember, this was the closest I probably ever was to getting involved because, I swear to God, I almost think that it was at a, part of, the college fair, or not the college fair, but at, the rec center or whatever. Someone was trying to sell, Vima drinks there. And they're basically just trying to lure you in, the fuckers. But they try to get you, to buy these energy drinks, and each energy drink has these points that are allotted to them, and you're supposed to get people to come down and join with you, the same pyramid scheme format. But they shut down in 2015 because they made false claims with their products, and they had to pay $238 million. But again, it's all point-based system, it's all points for recruitments, it's all the same fucking story, and it's all super interesting. But what was weird about Vima was I was reading like some of the numbers and the projections of like what you could possibly make, and that's how they get people in there. You know what I mean? So you see like on their I looked up their compensation chart. So compensation chart is basically how you're getting paid from all these companies, right? And that's the main thing, is like, how much am I getting paid, and how much do I have to pay to be involved? And you're like, what's the catch, But then I'm looking, and it said on their compensation chart, you could earn up to $25,000 per week and $1.3 million per year for a royal ambassador level of Avima. And then if you were the star royal ambassador or above, you could earn $30,000 per year. $30,000 per week and $1.5 million per year. And you're like, come on, like those numbers are insane. And I think that, I was trying to think of like what deterred me from this whenever I was younger, because I was stupid. You know what I mean? Why didn't I believe this whenever I was younger? And I think it was just too far-fetched for me, for a young adolescent Chad Medved to believe. And I distinctly remember people trying to get me to do that, though, more than one. And luckily they never got me. But the other, so like I started to think of other companies that I knew of that might be pyramid schemes, that like I might have an idea that they might be pyramid schemes. And like, you look on, I basically just scrolled through my Facebook and figured out which ones, which bullshit things were on there. And there's companies like Fit Tea, like, come on, diet tea, drink this tea, you'll lose 30 inches off your waist. Cutco knives. Cutco knives I've heard about for a long time. I don't know if it's necessarily a pyramid scheme rather than like, you buy these. I don't know how that works, but that came up on a lot of lists of MLMs when I was looking it up. Herbalife, which is, the same shit, selling lifetime or lifestyle supplements and, nutritional supplements. It Works, which is, a lifestyle brand that sells all these supplements. Amway, which I did not know about, but, we'll get to that in 1 second. And then the golden goose that I learned about was Arbonne. All these lists that I come up with, Arbonne is on all of them. We all know someone that works for a company like Arbonne, or they work for Arbonne. And these fit teas and these tummy wraps, like, I don't know. I wanted to get kind of in deep about how, these people were really making money. Is there people really making money of this? And how are people making money from this? So I started looking up Reddit. The first thing I did was, what are some bad stories from MLMs or pyramid schemes? And then the first one that popped up to me was this story about Fit Tea. So this girl was into Fit Tea. She got a subscription to their pack or whatever, and she bought things, and then she wanted to immediately cancel her membership after she signed up. I don't know. She got a change of heart. Someone told her she was dumb. Who knows? But she wanted to cancel what she was doing. And she tried to go on the website, I guess. And in the story, it said that basically she just had to jump through all kinds of hoops. They made it super difficult for her to quit. And they made it super difficult for her to get any answers on how to like quit their job or quit the subscription, because I believe it was $80 a month for the Fit Tea annually or whatever, or monthly or something. I think it was monthly actually, which was insane. But nothing ever really got to me. The closest thing I got to that was with LA Fitness, actually. So LA Fitness, whenever I was going to the gym there, before I moved, I was going there, and then a new gym opened closer to my house that was cheaper. So I wanted to quit my membership at LA Fitness. And I remember it was $25 at LA Fitness, And I called them and I was like, hey, I'd like to cancel my membership. The dude tried to give me a fucking whole runaround and resell me. And I was like, nah, I'm leaving. And then he was like, oh, all right, you're good. And then I thought I was just canceled. And I remember looking at my bank statement, you know, a couple months later, and it said LA Fitness, $25 got taken out. And I was like, what the fuck? So I look at my previous statements, and for 3 months, they were taking out a $25 payment. And I get it. It was my fault for not looking, but come on, $25? I wasn't looking at that. I'll throw it out the window with some coffees. That could be as simple as that. But I remember calling again and I was like, this is bullshit. Like, I called the other day, or I called a couple months ago, and the guy was like, you're canceled. Everything's good. And they were like, oh no, you can't cancel over the phone. You have to mail in a cancellation form and, you know, do all this bullshit. And they just make it difficult. So it's like, you know, it deters you from wanting to jump through all these hoops. But them son bitches could rot. But anyway, as I'm doing all these comparisons, you know, two big companies that are very similar kept popping up on my radar. And that was Amway, or the American Way, and Arbonne. And, you know, I kind of wanted to do some comparisons between these two, because Amway is, you know, they were, you know, proven to be a pyramid scheme, in air quotes, as I make air quotes in my room that no one could see me at. But I wanted to know what the difference between Amway and Arbonne was. So as I look through all this stuff and I start to kind of dig into Amway, or the American Way. They were founded in 1959. They're a health, beauty, and home care brand. So it's a lifestyle brand. They're selling, you know, health products, beauty products, home products. You know, you have toothpaste, you got vitamins, you got toaster pastries, you got, you know, makeup, you got, you know, all kinds of, like, you know, shampoo, you got floor cleaners. So I'm starting to see, like, there's literally products for every part of life. And a couple of their famous ones: Nutrilite vitamins, Glister toothpaste, Artistry makeup, and Satinique shampoo. And then their main moneymaker was LOC cleaner, liquid organic cleaner. And I start to look all these up, and it's the same song and dance with all of them. You get in, you have to spend a certain amount of money to, like, get involved with it, and then you got to buy a certain number of products, and then you just start selling them. So this LOC cleaner, I looked it up and I Googled it to see if I, like, recognized the label of it. I don't recognize it, but you could still currently buy it. It's like $10 for a bottle of it, and I looked at the reviews, and some of the reviews, it looks like it's on average about a 3-star review if people were reviewing things accurately. But besides for the products that they had, you know, I started looking at their format of everything. And I thought it was super interesting because, you know, someone mentioned, look up Amway. And again, I didn't know too much about them before, but they said, read this essay called Going Diamond by Sarah Gerard. And Sarah Gerard was someone whose family was involved in Amway and I guess got high up, and they just talked about, you know, the whole process of it all and what it was like climbing the ranks. And it was kind of fucking creepy. She said that, you know, besides for, you know, going in there and these people, like, basically, you know, shoving this fabricated, glorious, flawless, you know, basically flawless life at you on a stage, you know, it's kind of just, you know, it's the easiest way to get, you know, tempted. It reminds me of, like, you know, in Aladdin, whenever Abu is in the Cave of Wonders and he sees that big ass ruby, and it's like, it's almost like you can't help but not to touch it. But once you touch it, it turns to shit. So she talks about in this essay about, like, how her family got involved in it, and they had to pay this certain money, and they had to go to all these different functions, and, you know, their whole life changed. Like, they used every product they could use, you know, the toothpaste, the shampoo, the makeup, everything was all Amway stuff. And it makes sense because, you know, if you're buying these products, I mean, if you're getting paid to sell these products, why wouldn't you use them yourselves and make more money? But in these essays, in this essay, she kind of talked on a few points that were kind of creepy to me. And, like, one of them was something called dream building. And dream building was, like, a way of marketing for them. And it basically was, like, instead of, like, If you ever heard of The Secret is basically manifesting your own outcomes of life. If you dream it, you could do it. If you're passionate about it, you can make it happen. But in this essay, she had a bunch of quotes of like different ways of explaining things. Like in quotes, it said perfection of excellence. It's a way to control what you think, to enhance what you believe, and to solidify your attitude. It's a skill that has to be learned, practiced, and put into action. So instead of people just saying like, oh, you have to have a good mindset, it's like, oh, you can't learn this unless you're involved with this lifestyle. It's like you want to subscribe to this lifestyle. The whole brand of it all is selling you a better life in all aspects of it. You have a community of people that are doing the same thing that you are, that want you to be the same way, that look great, that feel great, that act like they feel great, and they act like they look great. And you want to be part of this community because it makes you feel in some way, maybe it makes you feel better. Maybe you want that community. Maybe you want that team type feel. But it was super weird because this dream building was required, like it was a requisite. And whenever like someone would be interested in products, or whenever they would be, interested in Amway in a whole, they would make people do these dream buildings. And it consisted of like, taking people to mansions, like literal mansions, and having people walk through these mansions like psychopaths and envision themselves in these mansions. Like, if you work your ass off, you could get here. And it's like taking them to places that have like 5 bedrooms and like, 5,000 square foot, and making people take photos sitting on these couches and like, down these spiral staircases. And it's just fucking weird. It's weird to think about that. It's like you're taking these people that are living these like regular lives, and you're telling them that this all could be, that it all could be possible. Granted, it all could be possible. People came up from the mud. Like people have, created something out of nothing. But like, I feel the problem with these types of companies are that they make it seem, easier than it is. They make it seem like that it's a natural, or not natural, but it's a, what's the word that it keeps happening, that it's a consistent, that there's people that are consistently getting to this level, which I don't think that they are. And they make you like, talk about what your dreams are, talk about what you want, talking about, how you want to live. And then this essay, they were talking about how like they would go and they would like tour these houses, and like, all the terminology and the verbiage and like the way that these people spoke was always, this is an opportunity. This is an opportunity for you to care, or for you to enhance your life. This is this is all up to you. Everything is about what you make of it. And it was interesting because I wanted to know if there was anything to do with religion that had to be with like Amway and stuff like that. Because, religion, if you look at it, as not religion, but like as a business type market, it's like, it's almost the same way. People get brought into it. People like they get brought into it in hopes of, something greater. And that's a whole different topic to talk about. But these people, the founders, Rich DeVos and Jay Van Andel, I guess were not like, they weren't pushing people. Like any religion was accepted, but I guess a lot of the verbiage in Amway like was talking about, thank God and everything like that. But I just thought that was an interesting point. I thought that was a little bit of an interesting point. But the main profits, so you had it's the same way. So like you would profit off of selling these products to all these people, and then you would get these reviews. So I'm going to try to break this down as easy as I can for you. So again, I talk about there's 2 ways to make money. You either sell the products that they have, or you get people to recruit and then they sell the products. So you as a person under the Amway business, you have a point value. So anything you buy has points, and those points go into one column. And then you have a business volume, which is the amount of money that you sold from all those products. Okay. So in that, there's a table there that kind of has like a chart of like what tier you are and what points you get. But to figure out what you get as far as like bonuses and your pay, it all has to do with the volume of what you're selling. So I saw on their chart, it has a chart that says 100 to 299 points. Again, I don't know how many of the points are work. I think one bottle of LOC was like 10 points or something like that. But anyway, 100 to 299 points, you would get 3% commission on all of your business volume, on all the shit that has been sold. And then, so, I mean, there's some math in there. Do your math. But then on the top of the chart, you get, if you have 7,500 plus points, you get 25% commission on everything you've sold. So, I mean, if you think about that, that is, I mean, that kind of is a way to make, you know, a good bit of cash, you know what I mean? And I was curious to know like what the type of money, you know, people make. But like, if you look at like, you know, I talked about Vima, that energy drink. They said the top tier, you know, you're making 30 grand a week. And, you know, that's a little bit unrealistic. So whenever I'm talking about Amway and like having these 75 plus points and getting 25% commission, it's like, it's not always as attainable. It's that you're not going to be at that top part. Like you have to consider yourself not being at that top part. You know what I mean? And then I started to, so Amway obviously is one brand in itself, and that brand was considered a pyramid scheme. All right. They had products everywhere from makeup to household cleaners. And I put that in one hat and I set that to the side. Okay. Amway in itself is a brand. And then, you know, I start to think, what is the most, you know, what's the word? What's the most comparable brand of today? And, you know, every list you look at, every time I see it, you know, in my personal life, it's Arbonne. Arbonne is the golden goose. Arbonne is, you know, it's a lifestyle brand. It is a lifestyle brand that has been, you know, it was founded in 1980, and it is a lifestyle brand that is, it's all made up of vegan skincare, cosmetics, and nutrition. And, you know, they sell they don't sell household products, but they sell like, you know, face creams. They sell like, you know, drinks. They sell, you know, weight loss shit. They sell mixes and shakes and all this stuff. And it's, you know, Amway sold a lot of the same shit kind of, but I was curious to make comparisons between both of them because we have some concrete evidence on one end with Amway, and then I wanted to see what Arbonne was like. So, looking at Arbonne, I see that they had, so I saw a little bit of a variance between numbers. So one article I saw had 250 consultants worldwide, and then the other that I saw had 300 consultants worldwide. So I mean, like, I don't know if that's like, I can't envision if that's a lot or not. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if that's a lot. That seems like a lot. Who knows? By whoever's standard. But I start to look up Arbonne, and like from my experience, I see what people are posting on social media and what they're selling. You know, we have these drinks that are giving you energy, and we have, you know, dietary supplement drinks that, you know, you mix into shit and you're not hungry ever again. And you know, those are all not accurate statements of what they're being sold, but you know, it's something along them lines. They're all the health and wellness pushers. And, you know, my whole thing that I just keep circling around is, you know, there's no shortcut for hard work. I'm a fat dude. I'm a fat dude because I don't go out and lift a lot. I don't go out and run a lot. You know, no drink that I buy is going to make me lose 30 pounds. And if it does, it ain't healthy. You know, that ain't right. But Arbonne is adamant about being like vegan and like, you know, non-GMO certified and everything like that. And, I was curious to know, like, you know, what their products were like and like what what if their products were good, if they were proven to be good, if they were safe and everything like that. And whenever I'm looking in all this stuff, I see something from someone named Megan Telfner, who was, I guess she was someone who's like a blogger. She kind of like reviews things, but she was looking up ingredients and basically, what the products are all about. She wanted to know if the shit that they were pushing was legit. And I guess in 2013, she was trying to find ingredients of a certain product, and I guess it was just hard to find them. And if you contacted Arbonne like she did, she said she had a lot of problems trying to get the information, and it was just like a runaround, didn't really get answers right away. And I guess she wrote an article, and the article picked up traction on a few websites, and then I guess Arbonne found out about it. And after that, they revamped their entire website, and they put ingredients on everything. And it makes me think about it in the beginning. It's kind of sketchy, but I don't know. I'll be the first to say that I don't read the ingredients of a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? I've never read the ingredients of my hair cream or my face cream or my beard oil. I did read my beard oil actually, but it made me curious to know, like, is stuff good for you that you're putting on your face? And this girl, I guess, because of the information that she brought up, Arbonne, revamped the website to include these ingredients. And I thought what was real interesting about that is because, like, the ingredients that they're putting in, we don't know what the hell they are anyway. So I don't know. I guess you could look up every single ingredient and figure out what it is and if it's bad for you or not, but who knows? But all their stuff is like tested and like proven and like FDA or whatever. But it makes me think, like, who's testing this stuff? Like, and I didn't find that answer, but I'm curious to know, like, I wonder who's testing that stuff. And I saw someone say that they possibly use their own scientists to test their own products, which is, I'm not saying that's true or not, but that raises a good question. So as I look up a few of their products just to kind of, get my hands dirty and kind of look and see about their products, I went and I looked at this stuff called RE9 Advanced Intensive Renewal Serum. And so basically the cell on it, or the description, says advanced peptides, antioxidants, and essential botanicals work synergistically within the formula to hold in moisturizer and help enhance the look of skin smoothness and firmness. I don't know what that all means. I don't really know what renewal serum is. I guess it, I don't know what it is, but some cream that's going to make you look better or some shit. I guess there's a chemical inside of it called cyclopentasiloxane. CYCIOPENTASILOXANE. No clue what that is, or if I said it right, but under that it said chemical classified by the Environment Canada Domestic Substance List as expected to be toxic. That was just one thing that popped up whenever I was searching it, and I thought that was interesting. And then the next thing that I looked at was the energy fizz sticks. So I saw someone on my Facebook posting about these, and it's basically, it's a little packet of powder that you pour into a water or some shit, and it's supposed to give you all sorts of energy. And the way that they sell it is stir in a fizz drink to create a refreshing, bubbly drink when you start to feel tired, to temporarily help promote focus and alertness. And, what is that? Caffeine? That sounds like caffeine. But these energy fizz sticks, I guess this is just a way to sell it differently. I think it was $55 for a box of these or some shit. I don't remember looking at how much it was, but I guess the alertness that they are promoting comes from the caffeine and the ingredients. I looked at the list of the ingredients. There's caffeine in it, and I looked at the milligrams. There's 55 milligrams of caffeine in these energy fizz sticks. Well, a regular cup of coffee has 100 milligrams of caffeine in it. What's that? That's kind of weird to me. Why not put 100 milligrams, at least a thing of caffeine? And then the next thing that I saw was the ginseng extract. So I look up ginseng, that's good for you. Supposedly it is. I don't really know. Could be snake oil, but the reason or the amount of ginseng in this energy fizz stick is 100 milligrams. Okay, so I was like 100 milligrams. I wonder what that equates to. So if you look at other ginseng supplements, their recommended dose is 500 milligrams. So there's about half as much caffeine as a cup of coffee, and then there is 1/5 of your recommended dose from another ginseng extract in this little packet of drink. And I think, like, what is the benefit of these drinks? Just because it tastes good? It's filled with citric acid, what makes it like bubble and shit like that. And it has sugar in it to make it sweet. So, I think to myself, like, is this good? Like, what's good about that? What is good about it that, not to mention the price of it all, even though that's ridiculous. You could buy, pounds of coffee. You could buy all kinds of ginseng extract for $55, but what is the thing about this? Why is it selling? Why is it so much money? Why do people not, look this up and see that it's kind of like bullshit a little bit? What's good about that? If I'm missing something, I'd love to know what I'm missing. But Arbonne is different. There's levels to all this shit. There's 5 levels to the Arbonne, I guess, format, structure. That's a better word, I guess, Arbonne structure. But first level is a consultant. So a consultant is, that's where you get in on the floor manager, on the ground floor, and you work your way up. Consultant, you got to jump through hoops, sell a certain amount, get people to sign up, you move up, to district manager. District manager, same thing. Jump through hoops, get people to land or get people to sign on, sell some shit, you move up to the area manager. After the area manager, sell some shit, get some more people to sign on, move up to regional vice president. After that, you sell some more shit, get some people to sign on, you drink some Kool-Aid, and then you national vice president. And that's the tippy top, as Woody Harrelson would say in Zombieland. That's the tippy top. But I wanted to kind of break down the pay of what these levels are. And this information that I'm about to regurgitate is from the Arbonne website. And I thought that this was super interesting. So an independent consultant of Arbonne, okay, the average earning of an independent consultant is $839 a year. All right, that's the average earning of it. All right, there's 66% of the people at Arbonne are in this level right now. 66% of, let's say, that 300,000 are at this independent consultant level. So for the best case scenario of an independent consultant, that is the top 50 average. So if you're in the top 50 average of an independent consultant, the most you make is $9,166, give or take, give or take. The bottom 50 average. So if you're struggling a little bit, you ain't doing what you're doing and peddling what you're peddling, the bottom 50 average is $18 a year. So it's a pretty big gap. So independent consultant, let's go over this one more time. The most you make, $9,000 a year. The least you make, $18 a year. The average, $839 a year. I thought that was interesting. I guess this is all about what you put into it, as any job. But the next tier, district manager. So the average earning of a district manager per year is $3,800, which is, no one's living on $3,800. But it's a good extra little bit of money if you can make it happen. The top average of a district manager is $22,000 a year. That's the top 50. And then the bottom 50 is $103 a year. So again, a big jump. And the people at this level, there's 24% of people in Arbonne at this level. And it has like a little time projection of the allotted time it would take, or the average time it would take to get to this level, and it says 8 months. So in 8 months, you could be making $22,000. You can be making $103. All depends on what you want, on what you could build for your life, what you could envision. Anyway, after the district manager, you go to the area manager. The average earning for an area manager is $18,372. So again, not terrible if this is your side hustle, but if this is your full time, you guys are going to be hungry. The top 50 average of this is $58,259 a year. Again, the top 50 of the area managers are making around $58,000. And then the bottom 50 average is making around $3,300 a year. So, area managers. There's 6% of the people of all the people at Arbonne are area managers. 6% out of that 300,000 we're using as an example, which is not too much. And then the average earning of all that is 18,000. So, I mean, 18,000 a year, it's saying you're going to take around 22 months to get there if you're on track right. Obviously, people could do it quicker. Obviously, they could do it slower. But this is all just averages. And again, this is right from their website. Right after you get to the area manager, that's where the big bucks start pouring in. You get to the regional vice president level. The average earning for a regional vice president is $71,000 a year, which is really good, in my opinion at least. 2 people of all of Arbonne are at this level. So you figure if we're using $300,000 or 300,000 people, 2% of that's 6,000 people are at this level. Whether you think those odds are good or not, but the top 50 average of a regional vice president, if you're in the top 50 of those people, is $143,000 a year. The bottom 50 is $27,000 a year. So if you can make it up there, the top or the bottom, you're still doing all right a little bit. All depends. I mean, that's obviously has to be your full-time job if you're a regional vice president, I'm sure. But the average time it takes to get there, 38 months. So you're looking at 3 years and some change to, making $143,000 a year if you sign your life away. And then the tippy top, the national vice president of Arbonne sales are I guess that's the absolute tippy of it, the absolute tippy of that top. But it says the average earnings, $260,000 a year. The top 50 average of a national vice president is $580,000 a year. The bottom 50 average is $98,000 a year. So if you make it to national vice president and you don't do shit, you're making $98,000 a year, more power to you. It says that only 1% of the people are at this level. So out of 300,000, only 3,000 are at this level right now. And I don't know. I believe in myself pretty much, pretty hard. I believe in myself pretty hard. I wonder how hard it would be to get up to all these. It says the average time that it takes to get to a national vice president, 57 months. So, I think to myself and I figure, just how everything is. It's whatever you work. It's whatever work you put into it. I'm sure people get there quicker. I'm sure people get there slower. I'm sure these figures are different for everyone. Again, this is just on the website, which is super interesting to me. Another thing that I thought was a little bit sketchy, creepy, weird, whatever. A little bit, nuts, if you want to call it, per se. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. But Arbonne has this other thing called the white Mercedes, or not white Mercedes, but they have this thing called the Mercedes-Benz bonus program or some shit like that. I'm chopping up the title of it, but who cares? But basically, if you make it to a regional vice president, they give you a bonus where you get where what it looks like online, they just give you a white Mercedes-Benz. But through my research, I feel that is not correct. So, as I was reading some of these testimonials, I'm wondering, how the hell are these people just being given a Mercedes-Benz? What is the catch? Because, as Father always says, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. So I started reading about it, and there's a couple articles that talk about the Mercedes-Benz program. The first thing that I thought was a little bit strange, that if you do want this program, you have to get a Mercedes-Benz. Like, there's no other, you can't get a Porsche, you can't get a Toyota, can't get anything else, can't get a hybrid, whatever. You have to get a Mercedes-Benz. That's the only car you could get through this. Another weird thing, it has to be white. I don't know where that comes from, but it's kind of bizarre. If you want a black car, you're fucked. You got to have a white one, a white Mercedes-Benz. And then, I wondered how it gets paid out. So I'm reading an article of someone that said that they got it. And it says that you have to buy it yourself, or you buy it or lease it yourself. And I guess Arbonne sends you money. And it makes me think I don't know if I like that. I buy that expensive ass car and these people send me money. I hope that they send me money. I can't make accusations that they don't do that, but, I'm being fair to everyone, but I just thought it's weird. I mean, if you want this car, has to be a Mercedes. I'd be fine with a Mercedes. It's not my first choice. I would like a blue Audi, like the one that he drove in CKY. But I would like, who knows? Maybe I would like a different car. But you have to have a white Mercedes-Benz, and it has to be fixed with Arbonne logos. Which, I mean, I can understand that. If a company is paying for you to have a nice-ass car, they should be able to have their promotion on there. You know what I mean? That's a billboard, basically. You're basically getting a billboard that you have to drive around. I'm curious to know how much they pay towards it. I'm curious to know if you have to pay insurance. I'm curious to know, what happens if you get in a car wreck? What happens if you fender bender with someone? What's the deal with it all? Is there any gray area? And, I thought about messaging a couple people from Arbonne, but I just didn't want to get involved with it. I'm going to just leave it up to interpretation of the listener. If you want to research a little bit more, by all means, I would love to know if you find out an answer. But after I get through this whole compensation plan of Arbonne, I start to think all right, so these are the glorious, or not glorious, but these are the flawless cases of everything. These are the perfect scenarios of everything, all these money figures and everything. So I wondered, what is actual people's, interpretations of them? So I go to Glassdoor. Glassdoor is a website that reviews businesses. They review any business. You can type in there and it'll come up, and there's people that work there. They give their reviews on them. They rate shit. So I typed in Arbonne, and they have 273 reviews. And out of those 273 reviews, their rating is 2.4 stars. And that's out of 5. So that's less than 50%. And, again, 273 ratings. I feel like that is, sometimes if you look at a company and it says 1 star and they only have 1 or 2 ratings, like piss off with that. That's bullshit. But if you have 273, that's a good data poll to come to conclude for an average. You know what I mean? That's a good amount of people that have weighed in on it. And, you take that with what you will, but 2.4 stars out of 275 people. And then I obviously start reading the testimonials of people working there and shit like that. And I start to think I can't take all this to heart because, there's different circumstances. So these people that are bad mouthing Arbonne, I can't take what they're saying and completely that's not gospel. They could have just had a bad day, or they could have a bad circumstance with other people. But I did read a lot of negative. I read a lot of negative reviews about working there. And a lot of it boiled down to, basically if people deterred from the template or the subscription of this flawless lifestyle, then things start to get, their flame starts to get smothered. Whether it be they get phased out of the company, whether they be pushed out of the company a certain way. But it seemed like that people didn't ever want, morally criticize. If someone came up with something that was a little bit better, it seemed like if there was any pushback at all, that was it. And it was weird because a lot of these reviews said that if your family or anything didn't want to be involved and just didn't support it, and you mentioned it within this organization, that people would almost shun you, you need to get away from them, cut ties with them. And if it wasn't about the brand and the life of Arbonne, then you weren't able to, they just didn't want it in your mind. And again, I'm someone that is just simply reading things online, and these are my interpretations of things, but they're super similar. What could I say? It's all, the same song and dance. Get people involved. Get other people involved. Collect these points. The more people you get involved, the more money you get. So that makes you want to get more people involved. You have this whole brand that you want to keep shoving on people. And I'm also not saying that, this can't work for some people. There's some people that are super profitable for this. I know of someone, I don't know them well, but I know of them, and they are successful in a business in one of these companies. And I'm not even going to say which one, but they are successful in this, and it kind of sparked my interest on how they are, because to me, this just doesn't seem legit, Doesn't seem legit. There obviously is going to be a couple circumstances where people are making money, and those are the people that they're going to parade around, and those are the people that you're going to see on Instagram looking like they're having the best time in the world, going to conferences for free, and doing all this wild shit and making their life seem like it's so attainable, and I'm not saying it's not. If you're putting in hard work and you're doing that, that's fine. But I hope people don't think that is the story for everyone, because it ain't. More often than not, these people are relying on people being involved and then just falling out of it and, collecting that initial investment. And, it's just a little shady to me. This whole, I spent a few hours reading about it, and it all boils down to it's a little bit shady to me. They're all the same. Every single one of these things are the same. And the only thing that keeps one person from being called a pyramid scheme and the other person being called an MLM or a multi-level marketing is some gray area in between that I'm too dumb to understand the terminology of. But I do think it was interesting. I thought it was well worth researching, and I enjoyed, reading about it. There's some wild shit out there that I didn't even want to bring up on here because it's all hearsay. All people are just talking about hearsay. But if you go on Reddit and you type in Arbonne, there's some wild ass stories. Or if you type in, it works, there's some wild ass stories. Or Fit Tea, wild shit. And there's no limit to what you could find about this, because whatever you're going to look for, whether it's the positive, you're going to find 100 positive cases of this. And if you're looking for the negative about it, you're going to find 100 negative cases about it. But it's all about what you get from it. I am not listening to what other people are saying. I'm making my own assumptions of all this stuff. Before I researched this, I thought it was all a fucking racket. And I'll be the first to say that. I've been vocal about it, and none of my research makes me think, might be a good idea. Although I would have loved to kind of get some undercover work done where I could have just, kind of bought into a pyramid scheme and kind of, tried to fight my way up of it, because I feel like I'm a good salesman. I'm a charming person. I could talk to anyone. I'll sell sand in the desert. I feel like I could do well, but I also feel like that these are opportunities for companies to prey on people that are in a bad way. And don't get me wrong, I'm not putting everyone in this company under an umbrella, but I think it's interesting that, you see a lot of single moms, you see a lot of people that are military wives, people that are stuck home. And that whole idea of, would you like to make your own hours and be your own boss and work your own schedule and do what you want to do and make what you want to make? Would you want that? It's hard to say no to that. Whenever you're pinched in a corner, and it's hard to say no to that. It's like, would a mom like to, put her kids in daycare and spend money on that and go to work for some amount of money? That's one side. Or would you like to be able to be your own boss and be home with your kid and do what you need to do and make money? So if you're going to glorify that and you're going to show the people that are at the tippy top and make it seem that attainable, you got to expect some people to fall for it. But you got to make sure the juice is worth the squeeze. So with that being said, I'm not going to talk about, there's not going to be really any desert island questions. I just wanted to reiterate what I was saying before about, the virus shit in a whole. This whole podcast dynamic is going to, continue until, we all feel safe with going outside. I don't feel safe going outside, and I hope other people don't, because, we need to be more conscious of this. We need to nip this shit in the fucking butt. And, we need to, just be conscious of what we're doing outside. It's crazy to me that there's still people outside jacking around. I saw a post online the other day of about 60 people up at Mount Washington, and they're all just jerking around up there. And you're like, what the fuck are you doing? I get it. It was nice. If it's a nice day out, people want to go outside. Come on. We're all human. But let's be smart about this. We got to be smart about this, because if we're not smart about it, we're going to be stuck in this house even longer. And I don't want that. You don't want that. We all don't want that. It's not good for anyone. So I hope everyone washes their hands. I hope everyone takes precautions. I hope everyone watches Tiger King. I hope everyone watches Ozark. And I hope everyone just stays safe out there. Call your family, call your loved one, call your grandparents, build a puzzle, watch some good TV shows, listen to the back episodes of this podcast. But I appreciate everyone listening to what I've been doing. If you have any feedback, feel free to DM me. My email is I'llCallYouRightBack@gmail.com. Give me some feedback, what you like, what you dislike. Call me a piece of shit if you want. Just say hello if you will. But I do appreciate everyone listening, and I'll call you right back.